to have your company on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for Match Day. Halftime between India and New Zealand, the second ODI at the MCA Stadium in Pune. That started with the build-up for all the wrong reasons. For 50 overs behind that. So let's talk about what the scoreboard says. 230 is what New Zealand have managed. You think India would take that? Let's ask Ajit Agarkar and Chris Harris. I will also take your questions and comments, so start putting them on our Facebook page. 230, you take that if you were India?
Yeah, happily. I think obviously the seamers we spoke about.
Yeah.
There was a question. I think they're not getting enough wickets. They had a bit of luck today. Got 3 up front, so which helped. And then Pandya coming and getting Ross Taylor just as the partnership was building. Yeah, 230. I think way below par. New Zealand's got a good attack, but you did back India to get those runs on a good pitch.
Yeah, it makes us look good when we put up numbers like that pre-show and then suddenly the bowlers do the job, Chris Harris. But I look at that New Zealand scorecard. How would you assess it? Just dented too early and therefore couldn't recover, or they've still done okay to get to 230 at least? How would you look at that?
No, I think they'll be disappointed. I thought the Indian seamers were exceptional at the top of the order, and obviously getting those 3 wickets slows you up a little bit. But I just thought in the recovery, New Zealand at times just started to get themselves back in the game and then lost wickets at important times. Taylor and Latham again was a huge partnership, and Ross Taylor will be obviously very disappointed to get out to, a pretty disappointing shot really. And then Nichols and Latham again just got the ship back in the right place with a partnership of around 60, I think. And then, I thought a poor option from Latham. I know he's a strong sweeper, but it was the first ball that Patel had gone round the wicket to him, and I thought he just had to have a look at the line. First ball tried to play an aggressive sweep shot and got out. Bowled middle stump, which is unusual when you look at the other night. His sweeping was so strong. So, no, I thought India were very, very good with the ball in hand. Kohli again, captaincy was good, and they fielded well. And I'm sure New Zealand will think that's under par. But knowing how they started in the last game, they know now they've got no option. They have to get early wickets. They've got to get Sharma, particularly, and Kohli early.
Okay, well, start putting your questions and comments. I'll put them through to Chris and Ajit in just a bit. But let's just spend a little more time on India with the new ball bowlers, the wicket of Martin Guptill, the wicket of Colin Munro that followed, and the big one of Williamson. Just take me through the wickets. What India got right?
Yeah, I mean, Guptill started well in that first over, second over, hit a couple of boundaries on the back foot. Good ball, angling into him, holding its line. Almost had to play with it, played because it was angling towards off stump. It's a tough ball to negotiate. You almost wish as a batsman either you get a thickish edge and runs to third man or miss it. Unfortunately for him, you've got to give the bowler a lot of credit. Again, Bumrah started well. Just good length bowling.
Yeah.
Munro against Fox with a knuckle ball. I think it's looked pretty
average.
Yeah, pretty average in both these games. I mean, looked decent in Bombay. Tried to pick everything to the leg side. I mean, Chris might be able to tell us a bit more. Off air, he was saying, he's been sent to sort of play as a pinch hitter. I don't think he's quite done that role in these 2 games. So, but Indian bowling, very, very good. And then Williamson, the big one, really.
Would you say you got a harsh one? I know on review we look at that.
It's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah.
Once the umpire, when you look at it live, you feel maybe it's hit him low enough. And replay it doesn't. But once you have a rule called umpire's call, you can't do anything to it. Harsh, but it was good bowling. He beat him and got rewarded for it. So, yeah, I think Williamson not playing in consecutive game obviously makes a huge difference to New Zealand, considering how important he is for them.
All right. Well, spending a moment on Colin Munro at the top. It's only been 2 innings in India, but what do you make of it, Chris Harris? Does he look like someone that New Zealand need to quickly rethink about where he bats because he's not looking the power, or would you continue him up top?
No, I think you need to continue with him because I think if he does get it right, he's a dangerous player. He's one of those players that if he can bat for a reasonable length of time, he can score heavily. He got off to an okay start in the previous game. I guess the most disappointing thing for me in this game is, look, I believe he's been brought in to create a bit of a strike rate at the top of the order, a bit like what Brendan McCullum did for New Zealand before he retired, and that's the job Colin Munro's been sent in to do because he's a much more comfortable being an aggressive player or being attacking. And I think today he went a little bit into his shell, and he's not as strong defensively. So when he goes into a defensive frame of mind, if you like, I think he creates an opportunity for the opposition to stop him scoring and to get him out. And I would much rather, even though it's so much easier and he's an inexperienced player in that role, it's much easier when you're watching from afar to say you just got to keep playing your shots. But I think the management and Craig McMillan need to talk to him about, even in that situation, you've been picked to be aggressive. We've picked you to go in and play your shots, hit the boundaries. So even if we lose early wickets, we sort of feel as though we've still got the batters later on to recover if we have to. But you're much better in this side and much better for us if you keep playing that aggressive role. And I think today he went into his shell, and in the end that brought about his downfall with some terrific bowling from Kumra.
Yeah, and just very quickly, it doesn't look like New Zealand have taken too many options on tour with them as possible opening bats if they want to move Munro elsewhere. There's only Tom Latham, and I doubt you're going to tinker with him.
Yeah, there's another guy by the name of Tom Bruce, but I don't think they'd like to open with him. The one possibility is you can't now move Latham in my mind because he's played so well at 5 and he's been such a key role there. The other option is possibly Henry Nicholls, who played pretty well today before he got out. You know, he's down at 6 or 7, so, you know, there's some argument that perhaps he could come up the top of the order, and then you continue with that left-right hand combination as well if he went in conjunction with Guptill.
Okay, India's change in personnel, so Akshar Patel come in. I'm actually looking at the scorecard now, and I didn't realize he's actually got it 5.5 and over, maybe a bit towards the end, but the wicket of Tom Latham, what do you make of him?
Yeah, I mean, I think Latham again had sort of built his inning, 60 odd balls for his 30 or 38. Like Chris said, you know, maybe could have had a look at him changing the angle from round the stumps. It hit the middle stump. Tells you wasn't the greatest of shots to play first up, and the bowlers just changed his angle. Got himself in. I mean, it's a hard thing to do every game if you lose 3 wickets up front, or not many, for the middle order to keep rebuilding. But I thought they showed Indian spinners a bit too much respect today, the New Zealand batters, because you saw towards that latter part of the innings when de Grandin came and played a few shots, normal cricketing shots, you saw how good the pitch was. I mean, it wasn't really gripping. It wasn't. There wasn't, you know, too much in it to think that the spinners might have a big say. I thought New Zealand showed them a little bit too much. It could be because they'd lost too many wickets. It's much, you know, easier to say from here, but I think they could have attacked them a little bit more.
Okay, I'm taking some of your questions, comments as promised. So start putting them in. I'll put them to Chris and Ajit. This is an interesting one from Ankit, who says the thing with Chahal and Akshar is that they get wickets and not take wickets. As a bowler, can you draw a distinction?
I think Virat Kohli will take it if they get wickets. As long as they get wickets. I mean, I obviously feel if you are looking at a wicket-taking option, then it has got to be Kuldeep. Chahal's, I mean, he's not a big spinner of the ball. You know, bowls wicket to wicket. A lot of his wicket-taking balls are when he throws the ball out wide, outside off. I mean, whether Maxwell getting stumped a few times, or today de Grandin trying to go for a big hoik which was away from him. He doesn't have a lot of variations, but you know, he's quite consistent with what he does. That's why I felt they should have stuck with Kuldeep, because I mean, you need wickets. Yes, today the seamers up front got wickets, so made life a lot easier for the guys following. But you need to keep sort of faith in your wicket takers, and I think Kuldeep's a better wicket taker than Akshar is.
It was one of those days, once again, where Kedar Jadhav has done a job as an additional bowler, 8 overs for 31. And for some reason, Kohli didn't use his services in the first game. And I continue to ask the question all over the world. So I'll ask Chris Harris in Christchurch. How does Kedar Jadhav get away with it? 8 overs for 31. Comments coming in saying, how does Kedar not get taken to the cleaners? Even some of the viewers can tonk him out of the park. I wonder if he just, you know, is underestimated so much that he's effective.
Yeah, he is effective, and like New Zealanders actually had trouble with him in the previous one-day series, the previous one they played a couple of years ago, where I think he got 6 wickets in 4 games. He is a little bit different. He is obviously quite a short man, and he bowls with quite a wide or a low arm, so the ball tends to skid on. And the New Zealanders said when they initially played him in that first series that they were playing him as an off spinner, but you've actually got to play him more as almost like a right-arm off-spinner that bowls just arm balls that, if anything, tend to go away from the right-hander. And I think it took a while for New Zealand to get used to that. And because he's low, the ball doesn't bounce as much, and I guess that brings in the LBW. And that's why I think initially we were seeing Tom Latham was a little bit nervous about using the sweep. And I think that's why they found it hard to score off. But I think he's a bowler that is underutilised, and you've got to be very careful as a batsman, because if you take him too easily, then quite often he can get through you before you know it. As he did against New Zealand previously, he's got 2 or 3 wickets.
Yeah.
Don't ask me, because I have no idea how he does well.
not
Because, I mean, I think it's obviously the lack of bounce and
Yes.
the trajectory that he bowls. You can't really get under it. I think the Grandam was a lot more positive to him. And you still got to try and put pressure on him. I think as much as he's sort of underestimated, people still show him a lot more respect. But he keeps doing a job whenever he's got on, and that's all Virat Kohli can ask.
Yeah, I like what Chris says. You don't try and play him like an off-spinner. Not that I'm even remotely trying to make the comparison, but when you played Chris Harris, did you change the way you had to think of how you play him? Play him as a pacer, play him as a spinner? Again, Chris, not for 1 second am I comparing you to Kedar Jadhav. Your 200 plus international wickets put you head and shoulders above.
I can't remember ever having faced him. I think he had
No?
finished his 10 overs by the time I got a bat.
Thank goodness. So you couldn't come in and swing.
So they kept you for the top order. All right. Let's continue taking your questions and comments as I go forward. Colin de Grandin seemed to really set the tone. How is this pitch? Finally, the question asked. How is this pitch?
Very good. I think seamers at time, this nature of the pitch, sometimes it can be a little bit too paced. Some go through a little bit quicker than you expect, but still a good pitch. I don't think there are any demons in it. I don't think 230 is a tough chase. If you bat well enough, it's well below par. So no, not too much wrong with the pitch. I think the seamers, if at all, looked a lot more dangerous to me than not dangerous, but seemed to be having a bit more from it than the spinners did. Whether that stays under lights or increases, we'll have to find out, but I don't think 230 is enough.
Yeah, well, the key again going forward, Chris, is again upsetting India's top order.
Yeah, certainly. Look, I think the pitch is a lot better than 230. I think par was about 280, and I think I said that at the start of the game, and I still believe that. So I think New Zealand were probably 50 short. But in saying that, you never really know, watching on TV, how the wicket's playing. I think it might be just a little bit slower than we think. And you saw the Indian seamers, although they didn't swing it, there was a little bit of sideways movement off the seam, and they did use the slower ball quite a lot. But part of the reason they use that is because they're so effective with it. But I think that's also in nature that the wicket's perhaps a little bit slower. So from New Zealand's point of view, absolutely key when you're defending a total that's well under par, which this total is. They have to get early wickets at the top and put pressure on India, very much like India did to New Zealand. So they've got to get those early wickets. And one of the absolute key wickets is obviously one of the openers, and they've got to get Kohli early, because we know his record in chasing any sort of total, particularly smaller totals, is phenomenal. So he's going to be an absolute key, and if they don't get Kohli out, my prediction is that India will win comfortably.
Okay, let's take some more comments coming from you. Ankit says Taylor played a loose shot given the situation of the game, should have left it alone. Jaideep saying, is Bhuvi now the spearhead of this attack, the next Zahir Khan in terms of skills? Ajit?
Different bowler to Zahir Khan, I think, obviously, but at the moment he seems just as good. His performances, keeps doing it day in, day out, which is what you need, and bowls are difficult stages of the game for India, and today obviously picked up wickets, but otherwise he's quite economical. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely in the top 2 bowlers. I mean, these 2 are your top 2 bowlers that you will pick for the one-day series, at least in the near future.
Okay, Shubham Ganotra says Ronak missed you in the last game, so did Ajit. Just carrying on to...
I didn't miss him.
You did? Okay, very nice of you. Ankit saying Munroe does not look cut out for decent attacks, can't block a simple ball, bat came down at an angle, always the expertise of Ankit, good to have it. Pritesh Jagad, Rohit should not be forgetting how he got knocked last time, playing blindly for rapid delivery across. He needs to be more calm and take calculated risks against left-arm seam. The Bolt versus Rohit battle continues. Are we making much out of nothing, or is it concern?
It's a good bowler bowling to a good batter. I mean, there will always be a contest. Indian bowlers got a little bit of swing. Whether New Zealand might get a little bit more under lights. The one thing I felt India got was a little bit of reverse swing today. I think Pune, usually it's quite dry, the weather. You don't sweat as much. It's not muggy, so the ball stays quite dry. You might get a little bit of swing again. Rohit clearly felt that he needed to get on top of Bolt, whether because he's been out to the left arm seamers a few times in recent times. I'm not sure, but it was a very unlike Rohit shot to play. Whether try to put off Bolt, I'm not sure, but he's key to India again.
Clinto asking Chris, how crucial will Mitch Santner be in this kind of tricky run chase, given what we saw Akshar do in the first innings? Do you think he'll be effective, Chris?
I think he has to be. If he's not effective, then New Zealand are in trouble. I mean, we've obviously got that other issue with Munro and de Gromholm making out fifth bowler, so it's really important that the other four and the three seamers and Mitch Santner do their job. So Mitch Santner will have a massive job in the middle there. He's not only got to contain, but he's obviously got to get wickets as well. So I'd imagine he'll set himself a total of trying to get 2 wickets for less than 40 runs. And if he doesn't do that, then I think New Zealand will be in trouble. Because I feel like the likes of de Gromholm and Munro on this particular surface won't be that difficult for the Indians. So as I said, the top 3 seamers have to do an amazing job. Bolt has to bowl as he did in the first game. And I think Southey and Milne have to step up in this game as well, especially the fact that we're defending a very small total.
Okay, Pritesh Jagad, is Kane Williamson going through a tough phase of his career? He's been a great ODI batsman till date. You know, we have to go back to June for his last knocks before this series, and they were 57, 87 and 100. You know, so it's been a long time since India played ODI cricket, but you wouldn't be worried after 2 innings, would you, Chris Harris, about Kane Williamson?
No, he's a world-class player and his statistics already show that. I mean, he'll be disappointed with his form so far in India. It's not often you see him fail back-to-back. So be assured that he'll be working extremely hard to make sure that doesn't happen on a third occasion. But, you know, cricket's a wonderful level, and no matter how hard you work sometimes, you know, it can seem as though it's just against you. So, look, I'm sure he'll put everything right. But, yeah, it's unusual to see him fail twice. So I know India will be very conscious of that coming into the third game, expecting him to get things right and to score a lot better than he has been in these first 2.
Okay, now the golden question of who will bat at number 4 for India. We'll come to that in a bit. Before that, we're going to focus more on Trent Bolt, and we've got the story that numbers tell in the form of Stats Guru. Here's a look. New Zealand's left-arm seamer seems to enjoy bowling against the Indian batsmen. Continuing his rich form against the men in blue, Trent Bolt was brilliant in the first ODI at Mumbai, picking 4 crucial wickets, which served as a base for the visitors to script a famous win. In fact, it is not a mere coincidence that whenever Bolt fires with the ball, chances for New Zealand to win go up significantly. Since his debut, 67 of his 94 wickets have come in New Zealand wins at a phenomenal average of under 18 and striking almost every 23 balls. The other thing that sets Bolt apart is his ability to manufacture wickets during the 2 most important phases of an innings. The first power play, when the team needs early breakthroughs, and at the death, when the priority is to restrict the opponents from scoring big. Since January 2015, Bolt has been the most impressive ODI bowler in the first 10 overs with 30 wickets to his name at an average of about 26. Even during the death overs, he is only second to Mitchell Starc with 27 wickets at an average of 16.37 and importantly, striking almost every 13 balls. India will be hoping to bounce back after the Mumbai loss, but Bolt's imperious form can certainly help New Zealand wrap up the ODI series in Pune itself. Right, so Trent Bolt, man to look out for. New Zealand's hopes rest largely on him with the new ball along with Tim Southey. If they are to get early breakthroughs to make a chase of 230 at least interesting. Let's address that question that I teased before we went into this package on who will bat at 4 today. You want to put a bet on it?
No, I can't.
Okay.
I mean, I would have thought they picked Dinesh Karthik. He plays a Manish Pandey. He was like Chris said, at the pre-show. He would have been the ideal guy to put at number 4. When you're 2 down at that stage, they sent Kedar Jadhav in the last game. Whether they do the same thing, I just hope whoever they send, they stick to him for 2 or 3 games. That's when you'll know whether he's good enough to bat at number 4. Not every alternate innings or not every 2 innings that he bats number 4. So, in my opinion, Dinesh Karthik should bat number 4. I'm not sure who they will.
Okay, it seems like a conventional chase. of 230. Would your number 4 differ, Chris, on whether India lose 2 early wickets or whether it happens much later? Who in your mind would be the number 4 for this chase?
No, for me it's Danish Karthik as well. I think India, as I said previously, have got to get used to giving someone an opportunity at number 4, and that for me is Karthik. The other reason I think with Jalith, the reason I like to use him down the order a little bit is he scores very quickly and he's very good at innovating, and I think he's better down the order than Karthik is. So I would leave him at 5 or 6, and I definitely think whatever the situation is today, that Karthik should be batting number 4.
Okay, let me try and play devil's advocate. Not that I believe in the theory at all, but what's wrong if the management says between Kedar, Karthik, Hardik Pandya and Manish Pandey, if he plays, we want everyone to sort of be able to play anywhere between 4 to 8.
Great, then they shouldn't be complaining about we don't know who the number 4 is. And that's how it should be. I mean, all the...
But what's the problem for an individual player? How does it...
I'm sure it's difficult, especially someone like Karthik coming back. I mean, from almost wilderness. Okay, he played in West Indies a couple of games, but hasn't had a lot of international cricket over the last... to then be shuffled up and down, well, as a player you've got to adjust, but if there is an opportunity to bat him at a certain number, and Manish Pandey, I think it was rough on him to get dropped for the series, not play that first game. I don't think he'd done too much wrong. But the fact that they've decided to bat, I agree with Chris. I mean, I feel Dinesh Karthik is more suited to batting at number 4 than Kedar Jadhav is. Kedar Jadhav, the dismissal showed last time, Kedar Jadhav almost looked lost what to do after hitting a boundary, a ball before, and tried to push for a single. I think coming down the order, he's probably, it's a lot clearer for him how to approach the game. So there's nothing wrong if you can, guys can bat at different positions, but your top 4, you at least need to have a basic idea of who your top 4 is. Your top 3 look pretty settled. There's one more guy you're trying to find, so you may as well give that guy a few more opportunities. Okay,
Ankit Chandak saying best batting position for India would be Dinesh Karthik at 4, Dhoni 5, Kedar 6 and Hardik 7 in the long term, because Kedar and Hardik are good hitters and Dhoni at 5 is the best option. Ankit Kumar saying Dinesh Karthik at 4. Questions on why Rahane isn't in the team. Let's talk about those that are first. Jay Nepal says MSD at 4. But then goes on to say UV 5, Raina 6, let's leave that out. But Mahendra Singh Dhoni at 4. I think it was the last New Zealand home series, Chris, in 2016, where MS Dhoni was put at number 4 and actually did all right. I know Ajit's views that he doesn't think MS at 4 is the way to go. What do you make of it? Dhoni at 4 is an option given the change to his game in recent times?
Oh, look, it is an option, but it's not what I would do. I like him being down a little bit because of his experience, and we've seen his ability to take India home in important chases, and with his experience he's so good at it. I mean, he got started the other night but unfortunately didn't finish the job off, so no, I'd certainly leave him down at that sort of 5 at the highest, but around that 6 or 7. The other thing with that number 4 issue is you've got Pandya and Jalith are both all-rounders, so they've got multiple strings to their bow because they play as all-rounders, whereas with Manish Pandya and Karthik, they're out-and-out right batsmen, so that's why I think they have to bat 4.
Okay, getting some more. Clinto saying Ajit, Manoj Tiwari is fit and in good nick. Should India have a look at him leading to the World Cup? I know Shreyas Iyer has already been called up with the T20I squad. KL Rahul's been tried there. Raina being talked of. Who I missed? Yuvraj Singh is still not overdone and dusted.
I think there are a few options.
Yes.
It's just sometimes...
Who are the realistic options?
Well, I mean, if you decide, now that you've decided there's a Manish Pandey, I keep coming back to it. I'm not sure what wrong Manish Pandey has done to be not given a few more opportunities. Now that you've decided Dinesh Karthik, at least he needs to get a few more opportunities. Shreyas Iyer's had a really good season with the India A squad. Manoj Tiwari scores a lot of first-class runs. Those guys have had the necessary experience to slot in, and we'll probably find out a bit more. But the guys who are there, that'll only happen if the guys who are there don't take their opportunities. And at the moment, seems like it's Dinesh Karthik and Manish Pandey ahead of some of these guys.
Okay, we can go till the cows come home. We could keep talking about who should bat at 4 for India.
I mean, I don't have to pick, fortunately. So
you won't have to pick the Mumbai team, and you have no doubts about that. As far as India go, we'll keep this conversation going. Maybe Virat Kohli throw in a surprise today as well as to who comes in at 4. I'll deflect from the batting order and take another lovely question. Ramakrishna Sistla saying, so good to see Chris Harris. What is he doing nowadays? All right, Chris, the stage is yours. Go for it.
Well, I've actually just recently had shoulder surgery, but I'm still playing club cricket in Christchurch, and I'm currently involved in a media company in Christchurch. So effectively, I sell radio advertising, and obviously still keep my hand in with the cricket, doing a little bit of commentary and a bit of work for ESPN Cricket Info.
Very good, excellent.
And he stays awake.
And yeah, you stay awake.
Yeah. I don't sleep.
At 47, now soon to be 48, you're still playing club cricket. You know, we had Sean Tate earlier, who's still playing some club cricket, but only as a batsman, because that's something he couldn't fulfill in his days for Australia. What's your role in club cricket?
I don't know, but that's the only time that I'd like to play against Sean Tate. If he's just playing as a batsman, I'm more than happy to play against him. No, I'm still playing as an all-rounder, so I still pretty much play what I did when I was playing international cricket. Bowl about the same pace. And just bat down the order and knock it around a bit and try and get the young guys on strike.
What are you doing with that shoulder that you've just operated on, still bowling?
Well, I'm not bowling just at the moment, so I've just had reconstruction shoulder. I've actually got a bit of a brace, which I've got off at the moment. It just sits on there.
Oh my, well done.
Yeah, I've got that on for 6 weeks. So hopefully after Christmas, I'll be back into it.
Fully committed. What dedication from Chris Harris, staying awake at this hour and working for us in spite of the trouble he's going through. At 48, he's still playing club cricket. What's the last cricket you played?
I don't want to go there. Anyway, let's move on. There's a reason I retired.
Yeah, but now a keen golfer, so let's not keep forgetting that Ajit Agarkar is still a very active sportsman. Okay, looking forward to the chase itself. Let's get predictions and maybe some kind of tactical acumen as to what we could see. Rohit and Shikhar just do their usual thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rohit was a little bit mindful of the fact that he's gotten out to bowl a few times and maybe tried to approach his innings differently. I hope he doesn't do that today. There's plenty of time, 50 overs, 230 runs and not a lot of runs. Try to get through that spell. Just play the ball on its merit. If he does that, we know how quickly Rohit can score once he's at the pitch. So, you know, India's aim would be to not lose, if ideally not a wicket, but if they lose a wicket, not too many. So, and the 230 is not enough on that ground, on that pitch. If they negate the new ball, it should be a fairly easy chase.
No India for you.
Yeah,
Sure.
I can't. I mean, 230. Most times I'll back the chasing team to get 230.
Chris Harris, are we in for a surprise?
I really hope so. Look, I really hope that India approach this in their normal fashion, and that's be positive. And I think I just touched on that. I think it's really important that Rohit Sharma plays his natural game, but just gives himself a little bit more time, because I think Rohit's at his absolute best if he gets used to the pace and the conditions and the swing, gives himself a chance, and then he can be more aggressive. But for me, New Zealand, what I want to see, look, if we're going to lose this game, I want to see us losing this game trying to win it and not just going through the motions. So my prediction is that I'd like to see Kane Williamson leave catches in place, even leave slips in for most of the game, because the only way we can win this game is to pick up wickets. And so if he does that, I think we have a chance. But what that also means, if things don't go our way, I can see India winning pretty quickly and inside, close to 40 overs.
Very good. All that I need. All the information that you need. Thank you very much, Chris Harris. Nurse that shoulder. Get some coffee. We'll speak again in a few hours. Ajit Agarkar, always a pleasure. Thank you very much. Right, India firmly in control. They need 231 to level the series and keep things interesting before Kanpur on Sunday. Let's see how they go, and keep your questions and comments coming. We'll do a full wrap of this game at the end of the match. Do join us then for Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket Info Match Day.